Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video I'll be showing you how I made my own tomato paste from scratch at home. I got lots of tomatoes recently. I was able to buy them in bulk and I needed to save them. So one way to save them was to make them into a paste. And I so much love this paste because they are natural, free from preservatives, coloring, 100% natural, and they are very much tasty. Like all the jollof rice I've been cooking with this tomato paste, the taste has been different. So that tells me that the tomato paste we buy from the store definitely has more to it. So first I started by washing all of my tomatoes and I boiled them. If you like, you can dice them, cut them up. There were some that I cut up, there were some that I was just too lazy to cut, because guys, these are a lot of tomatoes. I bought 3 boxes of tomatoes, so I didn't have time to be cutting everything. I just boil them with no water at all. We want to make sure that this tomato releases all of the juice in it, all of the water in it. And the essence of this boiling process is to lessen the quantity of liquid in the tomatoes as much as we can. So I did this first before proceeding to the next step. And the next step will be us blending what we have. So we're going to take out the shafts that we have. We're going to blend everything into a smooth paste. You want to use a good blender for this because you want your paste to be very smooth. Next, we're going to need a fine mesh strainer, or if you have the cloth, you can use any of them that you have, but as much as possible, make sure that they don't have big holes so that they don't let out lots of your tomatoes through them. So I'm using 2 methods at this point to continue my process. I'll be using the oven method and the cooking method. So basically what we want to do, like I said, is extract the liquid out of the tomatoes as much as possible. That is what you call a tomato paste. But it is just unfortunate that a lot of the ones we buy from the store really are far from this process. So for the oven method, I have laid out my tomato paste on a parchment paper on different trays. You want to lay this out and spread it as thin as possible. And I've just set my oven to 350 and I'm just going to allow that cook, but I make sure that I am continuously scraping all the sides so that I don't lose so much tomatoes in the process. As you can see, you want to get out the liquid as much as possible. Right now we still have liquid in this that you can see. You can see the liquid. There's still lots of liquid in this. So I keep scraping all the sides, scraping it in so that I don't lose that, because they're going to dry up on your parchment paper if you don't do this. You can't leave this and go away. This is a process that you need to do when you have some time on your hands. So for this oven process, this is what we're doing. The cooking method is similar to the oven process. We just want to evaporate moisture as much as we can, ensure that there is no moisture in our tomatoes. That is what the tomato paste making process is. That is what it hopes to achieve. That is what tomato paste should be. And you would notice that my tomato paste is orange and not red. And that is because the kind of tomatoes that I got have more orange pigments in them, like carotenoids. There are some other types of tomatoes that have more red pigments in them. They are more reddish, and you would also know that there are different variants of tomatoes. So depending on the type of tomatoes that you get, your color might vary, but this is a good process for you to achieve your natural homemade tomatoes with no preservatives. Some of the store-bought variation usually have some other added ingredients to them to achieve that deep red color that you have. And if you're worried about not achieving the red color of your jollof rice using this tomato paste, I'll tell you not to worry, because your red color of jollof rice that you want to achieve will not is not something that your tomato paste really gives you. It is something that you could achieve with adding more bell peppers to your pepper mix. In fact, the entire mixture of your pepper mix for jollof rice is what determines what you would achieve. How your jollof rice sauce is fried also matters. When you fry it deeply for a longer time, you're gonna have that smoky jollof taste and color. So this is our tomato paste. I allow everything to cool before storing them in jars. For some of the jars, I added some oil to the base before putting in my tomato paste, and you can see it's so silky smooth and looking very beautiful. For some of the other jars, I didn't add oil. So after I poured some of the tomato paste in jars, I also topped them with some olive oil. You could do that, you could totally skip it, it is optional. And I stored them in my deep freezer until I needed to use them. So whenever I needed to use them, I would take them out ahead of time and put them in a bowl of hot water to allow them melt a little bit and be easy for me to scoop. Something that I found very much better and effective was using my silicone containers to store them. I didn't have enough of that. That was why I used my mason jars. But the ones that I stored in the silicone cubes were so easier for me to get out because I didn't need to melt them or anything. I would just push them out of the silicone cubes and push them into my stew, into my jollof rice or whatever it is that I was making. So if you could get that, that is fine. And if you want to avoid this process, you could also try the fine mesh strainer process. If you have a fine mesh that is really a fine mesh strainer that will not waste your tomato paste, you don't need to cook. You could, but I would recommend that the strainer has to be a standing strainer that you could leave your tomatoes in, go away, and then come back to it. But at the end of the day, you want to ensure that all of the moisture in your tomatoes are out. And so these are my own tomato paste in different jars. I love them so much. At the time of watching this video, you should know that all of these have been consumed. Don't worry, I didn't use them in 1 month. I used them in a number of months, but this video is finally getting to you.